got a lot to learn before you people try
Hello everyone and welcome out to the very first inaugural episode of Proshow Live. Today we're going to talk about whatever I want, whether it be video games, the internet, movies, videos, comics, anything geekery, pretty much any subject that I want to talk about. We are going to talk about that, and more importantly, you are going to talk about that, where you actually get to call into the show and interact with me and along with everyone else on the show. So that's what I plan on doing. Before I start, that was new music by Phantom NK, called Glitched Out, one of my personal favorites. I also want to give a big shout out to Revulsive, who created the logo for this show in like an hour or something really quick like that. So again, thank you to everyone who's here and listening, and thank you to Revulsive for making the show. And so, as I stated earlier, we're going to talk about the 3DS XL first off, then we're going to take a brief break, and then we'll get back to the second topic, which is going to be Mass Effect 3 and their extended endings. But first off, Nintendo 3DS XL. We've all heard about it by this point, and if you haven't, I'll fill you in. Nintendo has announced that a brand new version or iteration of the 3DS is going to come out. Nintendo 3DS XL. Which is basically what it is, it's a 3DS XL, but bigger. And that's like the main draw for it. It's a much larger size than the original 3DS. The biggest thing is that they want the screens to be larger, and the screens are larger. They're like about like 90% bigger or something like that. The old screen diagonally on the top was like 3.5 inches diagonally. On the 3DS XL, it's almost 5 inches, so much larger that way. I don't remember the dimensions of the bottom screen, but that one is definitely a lot larger too. And of course, the system itself is physically much larger. It does have a slightly better battery life, so that's a little bit better. It's going to be $200, $199.99, and it's coming out in early August, August 19th, which is actually going to be the exact same day that New Super Mario Bros. 2 comes out. It also, now that's the only thing that's really changed on the system. They haven't like upgraded the graphics, or there's not a second circle pad added on there. The button layout is pretty much the same. Instead of a gloss finish, it has a matte finish instead, so that you won't be seeing nearly as many thumbprints or fingerprints all over it like you would normally see. Now, as soon as this was announced, a lot of people had kind of asked me right away, Jared, are you going to get it? I'll tell you why people ask me that, because if you don't know this, I own every single DS out there, because I'm an idiot. I have an original DS, I have a DS Lite, the limited edition Zelda DS Lite, a DSi, a DSi XL, and the 3DS. So people were like, oh, so the 3DS XL, you're going to get that too, right? And honestly, I probably will not. And that's the first time I've ever really said that about a new handheld coming out of Nintendo, because I almost always get it right away on day one or within a couple of days. But the 3DS XL, I don't think I'm going to get it. I mean, I'm sure I'll get one eventually. People freaking out right now in the chat room. I'll get one eventually. Just I don't plan on really getting it like anytime soon. My girlfriend gave me a great piece of advice. She said, "Hey, don't get the 3DS XL until they announce a special edition," which is probably going to happen. Brilliant advice. Probably going to follow that. So yeah, I'm not going to get it, and I tell you why, because there's no point to it. I honestly don't need larger screens. And I did get the DSi XL, and be perfectly honest, the DSi XL was my least used DS I've ever owned, because to me, it was too big. which sounds really stupid, but it was too large for me to use. And it wouldn't fit in my pocket properly. It wasn't very easy to travel around with. So I didn't really use it. I kept it by my bedside, and I use it there every now and then for, I think I played Phoenix Wright, one of the Phoenix Wright games on there, or even the Miles Edgeworth one, I forget which. So I didn't really use it much. And that's my main problem with the 3DS XL. There's no point to it. There's too large. It's too large for me to actually go around with it. I mean, yeah, you can use your handhelds at home, as Magic Man points out. Yeah, you can use your handheld at home. But even then, like, the DSi XL was so physically large, it was not comfortable to hold in my hands and even play with. And that's my fear of the 3DS XL. It's not going to be comfortable as it is. Now, they did say that the larger screens does give it a better viewing scope, so it's easier to see the like the 3D effects, or people watching can watch better. Great, I guess. I will say this though. I mean, I know a lot of people were really upset that the 3DS XL does not have a second circle pad. I can understand why they're upset, but the smartest thing Nintendo did was not add a second circle pad, because if they did that, they would divide their own audience. If you make the second circle pad the standard, so you basically have two analog nubs or whatever, well then games are going to be created that requires those analog nubs. So then people with the original 3DS won't be able to play them, or they have to buy the Circle Pad Pro to even play on there. Which, by the way, the 3DS XL is getting its own circle pad too, so it'll be an even bigger system. So I think Nintendo not adding a circle pad would have been smart. At that, like, if they were to do that, they would have to basically make an all-new handheld system. And I know a lot of people kind of pointed this out, that Shigeru Miyamoto had said some months ago, you know, we're happy with the 3DS hardware. We don't feel like we need to change anything. Which is partly true. And they haven't changed anything. They made it larger, but they didn't, like, change the specs of the system. They didn't improve, like, its performance or put on the circle pad or whatever. So it's still fundamentally the same system, just larger. So, man, it's a little bit of a Yeah, it's kind of a little more sketchy way to go around it and say it, but they pretty much told the truth there, so they didn't actually change the system. Anyway, so, and my other real thought with the 3DS XL is, I don't think this thing is going to be successful. It's not going to work. And I'll tell you why. I mean, when the DSi XL came out, that new handheld had an audience. It had an audience that it was going for, and it was going for older gamers and parents who wanted to use like a lot of the writing type games on there. For example, like the Sudoku games or the language coaches or whatever. So with like it came with a larger screen to write on and a larger pen to play with, which made it great for parents to actually write and use that on there. And I will agree, it actually did work great for that. I did have the DSi XL at my bed, and I was using it for my Japanese coach, and it worked great for that. I'm not denying that. However, the DS had that software to go with it. The 3DS does not have the software to justify a larger screen like that. Like, there's no, like, kind of writing or penmanship style games on the 3DS at all. Of course, you could argue, well, you just use the original DS games on it. Well, yeah, but then you could just save yourself a lot of money and get the original DS or the 3D or the DSi XL. Man, it's a lot of. I'm saying D and 3 and S a lot, and it's throwing myself off in my head. And that's confusing to me. Imagine what it's going to do to everyone else who doesn't know anything about games. So that's my other problem with the 3DS XL, is that it doesn't have the software to really support and justify why this thing exists, because there's no software for it. I could understand the XL. I didn't really use it a whole lot. It wasn't really my thing, but I could understand why some people would want to use it. I didn't really know anyone who did, but that audience was out there, and I just don't think it is out there with the 3DS XL. Another reason why I probably won't buy one, because it'll probably price drop rather quickly. Will there be a third version of the 3DS? I don't know. Probably. It's Nintendo. It's kind of what they do. But the 3DS XL, for the first time in, I don't know, so long, I will not be buying this brand new handheld when it comes out. Which is shocking to me, because I like supporting that, and I'm an early adopter because, again, I'm a sucker. But I always get those. So, obviously, I don't want it. I don't like it. I'll buy it eventually because I have to. But it's not really my thing. But more importantly, what I want to know is what you guys think. Are you interested in the 3DS XL? What are your thoughts on the 3DS XL? And I want you to tell me. And this is how you do it. On Skype, go and add a brand new contact and look under Skype name, search for Proshow Live. One word, Proshow Live. Go ahead, add that contact on there. Maybe put on a little message that says what you'd like to say, so I kind of get an idea of what you're looking for. And then I will call you and get you in on the show. And we can talk a little bit about your thoughts. Because, I could sit here and talk forever about how much I don't like a lot of things. But I'd rather hear from you guys as well. So again, go to Skype, add in the name Proshow Live, one word, and I'll try to get you in here. Don't call me, I'll call you. So that way I can try to keep this a little bit under control. That way it's not like completely exploding or going absolutely crazy. So I'll call you in, and we've already got people coming in, and like I said, I'll try to get you in there when I can. Actually, we're going to start off with a rather well-known person around the site. Gaijin Guba says he wants to talk about it, and especially what the Japanese might be thinking about this, which I am actually interested to hear. So I'll see if I can't get him on here.
What's up, man? Can you hear me?
Yeah, Gaijin Goomba. Hello, welcome to Proshow Live. What's your name, man? Hello?
Wait, my name?
Yeah. What's your real name? I mean, I know Gaijin. What's your real name?
My real name is Michael.
Michael? Hi, Mike. Where are you calling from?
Um, I'm calling from Arkansas, actually.
From Arkansas. Okay. Now, you said in your message that you wanted to kind of talk about what the Japanese might think about this. What are your thoughts on that, then?
Oh, sorry, I'm having some mic issues. Sorry, I think so. Hang on. Let me turn my Skype volume down. I'm so sorry, guys.
All right. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Yeah, if you're going to be calling in, just try to keep yourselves ready to go just in case. Because otherwise, there's a lot of people who want to call in, so I want to be able to help them just that way.
Okay.
Right.
Jay, can you actually get back with me while I figure this out?
Okay, I'll see if I can get back to you. All right. Thanks for
All right,
calling in,
thank
though.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate it anyway, Gaijin Goomba. Like I said, try to get your Skype nice and ready going so that when I call you up, you're ready to go right away. All right? All right, next person on the list, I want to bring it up. Let's see. Let's get Vic O'Bragan. I'm sorry, I probably absolutely butchered the name, but Vic. He's got Squirtle Squad, little symbol in his Skype. Let's bring you on. I said, if you don't answer within a timely manner, I will have to move on. That's just how it works. Oh, Vic says he'd rather not talk. Okay, that's fine, man. That's fine. Unfortunately, just because of the nature of the show, I will have to, be adding people through Skype and talking about it through voice chat. So if you don't want to talk through voice chat, that's fine. That's why the chat room is there, so you can still talk in the chat room. But otherwise, if you want to be on here talking to me, like I said, we are going to be using Skype and voice chat. So, let me keep moving on then. Next person, here we go. Malik Zail. Again, probably butchered, but that's fine. I'll get him on here anyway. Malik, trying to get you on, but it says you are offline right now. Not really working. Alright, I'll have to move on then. Once again, if you're just joining us, we are talking about the Nintendo 3DS XL. What do you think about it? Do you like it? Do you think it's stupid? Whatever. Alright. Alright, Jonah Dirth says he is interested in the 3DS XL. Which is interesting. I think he's the first person I really know of who says they want the 3DS XL. So let's hear from him. Jonah Dirth. Hey, Jonah, you there?
Yes.
Hey, Jonah, welcome out to Proshow Live. Where are you calling from?
I'm from, I'm also known as Firethorn43, and I'm from Florida. Yeah, I don't know how I'm alive.
Alright. Now, you said in your message, hey, I kind of like the 3DS XL. Talk about that. Like, you said you are interested because of the larger screens?
Yeah, well, simply because I play my 3DS more at home. Honestly, I know that's a little ironic because it's a portable, but, well, simply I just can't, like, force myself when I'm, like, on a plane or on a road trip to play it, because I'll usually just play for 5 minutes on my phone. And, just bigger screens would benefit, especially in 3D at home, because it just makes a bigger experience, even if it's not very good resolution.
Do you typically play with a 3D on all the time?
Yeah. It depends on the game sometimes, but, if it has a good 3D effect or not.
Alright, so you already own the 3DS?
Yes.
Do you see yourself, like, trying to upgrade to the 3DS XL? Like, I'm sure GameStop will end up doing some sort of trade-in deal. Would you be willing to trade in your old 3DS to get the 3DS XL?
I know it's just kind of positive about it, but probably not, because, one, it's kind of a pain to move all your past 3DS games onto another one, like downloadable games.
Yeah, that's right.
Especially Ambassador games, if you're... And especially if you trade in, it'll be... I guess it's just SD card, but maybe if that isn't a problem. And, I think it's just for those who like bigger screens, like you said about the 3DS, and Yeah, I agree. It might not sell as well because, it's not for the older people who like Sudoku and, it's more for the hardcore, I guess. Um, yeah.
So you actually think like the 3DS XL is actually meant more for the hardcore audience than like say the DSi XL?
Well, if you like bigger screens, yes.
Okay.
It's just another option for those who are still not on board on getting a 3DS just yet. You have that along with different colors, and you just have a few more options than you do.
Yeah. You brought up a great point earlier. It's about the ambassador games. And, as someone who got the 3DS super early on, like I have all those ambassador games, and that helps a lot, and actually gives me a better reason to actually keep my 3DS around.
Hmm.
The 3DS XL isn't going to have that, though. So,
Mm.
can you think of any specific game that you think would really benefit from having a larger screen? I mean, aside from like all the ones that'll look pretty or prettier.
Well, one thing is that I actually use Netflix a little bit on my 3DS,
Oh,
and
okay.
so yeah, that would benefit a little bit from a bigger screen, and I think of some games like Resident Evil probably. Just
Mm.
because, like, if you just play it in the dark and you have that big screen and 3D, probably look really nice. And I'm not sure about the games they're using for examples. Like, they're using New Super Mario Bros. 2,
Yeah.
and I think you need a more open world game and not just a 2D side scroller. I don't think that's just the best example for it.
Yeah. Another great point that you brought up. Actually, you're right. I think Netflix would probably be a lot better on the 3DS XL.
Yeah.
I mean, again, especially like with the larger screens and the larger viewing area. That way, you can actually get like if you're on the plane or whatever, and you've got friends there or something, you want to watch some movie. Actually, I'm sure the 3DS XL would probably help a lot with that. That was a great point.
Mm-hmm.
All right, something to consider. All right, I got to move on, but hey, man, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, have a good one. All right, let's see if we can't get Gaijin Guma back in here. Hopefully, he should be ready to go. One more time, Gaijin.
Okay, how's that sounding?
All right, sound much better.
Excellent.
All right, now what
Okay.
were you trying to say earlier about how you feel Japanese people would react to the 3DS XL?
Well, here's the thing that everyone has to keep in mind is that everyone is physically on the go in Japan at all times. And typically everyone's carrying a big backpack around, myself included, during that time I was actually over there. So a larger size is really only going to help the Japanese market for the most part. Because if you have a backpack, you could you could carry probably one of the current gen consoles and still be relatively comfortable. Um, you also have to keep in mind of Nintendo's brand loyalty. Nintendo's name is everywhere you go, like Nintendo and Sony. You never see Xbox
Mhm.
or Sony ever. So I think people are still going to support it simply because it's just Nintendo. It's been around forever, and there's a lot of brand loyalty in Japan.
Oh yeah, I mean that's why I have all the DSs that I own.
Yep. Um, and really, I don't know. I wanted to mention real fast about that circle pad because I wanted to echo Drew Wario with one of the things that he posted about earlier this week. Is
Oh,
that
yeah.
there really aren't any games that utilize it. I mean, there's a few. Kid Icarus does, but it only does it if you're left-handed. Just for that added benefit, you still have to use the stylus. And I think your favorite game, I believe, for the system is supported by that. Revelations does. But really, how many games have been made for it, and how many games are going to be made centered around it? I understand that there's potential for it, but is it really necessary? I mean, unless they decide to overhaul the way that they make games.
You know what? You're absolutely right. There are only a few games that really can use it. Yeah, Kid Icarus can, but it's only if you're right-handed. Resident Evil Revelations works great with it, but actually still plays really well without it. Metal Gear Solid 3DS sucks without it. However, you're asking if it actually is even necessary at all, and I'll counter it with two words: Monster Hunter.
Good
I
point.
mean, especially with the 3DS XL, I mean, with that brand loyalty there and how big Monster Hunter is in Japan,
Mhm.
I'm sure people are going to pick up a Circle Pad Pro just for Monster Hunter. I know for sure I'm going to because I love Monster Hunter as well, and especially since that's coming out in early next year and 3DS XL is coming out just in time for that.
Yep.
So I do think the Monster Hunter alone is going to make the Circle Pad Pro a thing around.
Yeah, and the other thing to keep in mind too, and I've asked my old colleagues about this. I saw on, I think it was on StroTech, there was talk about how Nintendo doesn't care that much about 3D anymore, and you know, really, it's just as gimmicky over there as it is over here. I mean, people like it. People stop by displays and check it out, but you know, they're just as strapped for cash, if not a little bit worse off than we are. And I know that's saying a lot for all of you guys who don't have jobs or got laid off. But I think 3D may very well be out the door, and Nintendo may be going back to its fundamental focus. It's just a theory.
You know, hopefully they do.
Yep.
It's kind of like the motion control thing. Like, eventually people realize that what they like and what they don't like, and I think 3D is going to be on its way out. All right, hey, man, thank you very much for the call. I'm glad you got your mic working. I'm really glad to hear from you.
Sure. Thanks a lot,
All
man.
right. Yeah, thanks for watching.
Bye.
All right, next person I want to hear from is Nate Grafton, who says he thinks the 3DS XL could actually possibly help increase the 3DS and the popularity of the console itself. I would love to hear that. So, Nate, let me see if I can get you in here. Hey, Nate, can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, welcome out to Proshow Live. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Mission PC, Canada.
Oh, Canada. All right. All right, now you said you think the 3DS XL can actually help the console, like, as a whole?
Well, like I said, possibly.
All right,
But,
explain.
I'm thinking because, well, me not owning a 3DS myself yet, but I've
Okay.
been planning on getting one soon, so... And especially now since the XL's around, and you think, oh, maybe should I just wait for that, or should I just go with the original? But I think it maybe could, because especially from what we saw from, I'd say, E3, when like the next conference, when they really just showed more about the games, about the 3DS and everything, that they're not really focusing on the gimmick of 3D anymore. That they're really trying to focus on the games itself. And when they like announced the 3DS XL, they said about like the need for a bigger screen. I could see that for like maybe like hardcore gamers or whatever.
Okay. So you
like-
said you don't own a 3DS yet?
No, I'm planning on it though.
Okay. Well, if you had to get one, the 3DS or the 3DS XL, which one do you think you would prefer or rather have?
Well, maybe now, definitely, I'd say an XL, because like on how they're projecting more games now, it's gonna be they're gonna want a bigger screen. It's like, yeah, let's play this like really good game on a bigger screen. You see more or experience more or whatever. And I see if that really goes forward, like if the games are better per se on a bigger screen, I think it could really like increase it, I guess.
Okay. I you know, I pulled this on Gaijin Goom, and I'm gonna throw it on you too. I actually do think Monster Hunter probably would look pretty awesome on a larger screen.
Oh yeah, I was glad
Yeah.
you said that, because
I
when
mean-
I was hurting. Sorry, what?
I mean, the PSP, I mean, the only reason I really have that and really kept it around was because of all the Monster Hunter games they had on there.
Yeah.
And the only reason I really got on the PSP was because I could hook it up to my TV and play it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is, actually, I'll bring up this question to you. Do you think the 3DS XL, with its larger screen, is actually more of a response to the PlayStation Vita, who has a larger, beautiful screen?
A part of me wants to say yes, and part of me wants to say no. Part of me wants to say yes because, like, maybe just like competition-wise, like, oh, like Sony did this, let's do that. But again, can't say that for sure because, as you know, Nintendo was smarter than us. But because, well, I think maybe because they already had the idea of doing it from the DSi XL. They're like, maybe we could do it for the 3DS. But also, I don't know. This is just me, but maybe it was because of like on how much trouble the 3DS has had. Maybe thinking, oh, maybe a bigger screen will work. Maybe it'll appeal to more, or we'll gain more sales from it.
Yeah.
Like,
We'll have to see. I mean, it's pretty early on, and of course, it's not even out yet. But all right,
Yeah.
Nate, I gotta move on to other calls. But hey, thank you very much for calling in. I really appreciate
Oh,
it.
no
Thanks
problem.
For listening. All right.
oh, yeah.
All right. One more person I want to listen to before we even move on to someone else. Breakman Z, who I believe his name is Ben. I believe I can get him in here. All right. One last caller talking about the 3DS XL before we move on. See if I can't get him in here. Now, he said he was not very interested. Hey, Brickman Z, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, you're Ben, right?
Yes, I am.
Hi, Ben. Where are you calling from?
I am calling from Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania.
All right. Now, you said that... do you have the 3DS right now?
Yes, I do, and I am
All right.
perfectly happy with it.
Okay, and you don't plan on getting the 3DS XL at launch at all either?
Right.
Alright.
I just kind of see it as, like the previous caller said, that it is kind of like a response to... I can kind of see it as a response to the Vita having a bigger screen. And yet, on the other hand, it's the sort of thing you could kind of see it coming. I mean, if you look at
Really?
the...
You thought you saw like the 3DS XL coming?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the progression of the DS as a line, I mean, we got...
See, I was actually surprised by this because I thought it happened way too quickly. Because this is just over a year after the 3DS came out, which, even with the original DS, that had like a good 2 years before the DS Lite happened. And I figured they would go like smaller, sleeker, more compact before they went to larger. But you think at this point, just everyone's expecting larger is better now?
Yeah, I can kind of see it that way. I mean, I agree with you. I was kind of surprised that they were going to be announced that they were going to come out with the XL as early as they did, and yet on the other hand, like I was saying, you could kind of see it coming eventually down the line. You could see it like in a few years happening.
Yeah, well, remodels, it's just going to happen. That's just something that we've learned to expect from every company now.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right, well, I got to move on. Hey, thanks for calling in, Ben. Really appreciate it.
Yep, no problem.
And thanks for listening. All right. All right, so that's all we're going to do for 3DS XL. And again, hey, thanks to everyone who called in and talked about it. Really appreciated that. And, if you have your own thoughts about it, throw it out in the chat. I'll see it. You'll see it on the stream. But, hey, coming up next, we're going to be talking about the Mass Effect 3 extended endings after a brief break in just a couple of minutes from a brief little music interlude. But, hey, once again, I want to thank everyone who's listening in Proshow Live, and I'll be back after a couple of minutes. That was Let Us Dance in the Dark Phantom Forest Together from OC Remix, a great remix of a Final Fantasy VI song, The Phantom Forest, one of my favorites. Once again, thank you very much for listening to Pro Show Live, where we talk about whatever it is I want to talk about, and you get to voice your opinion. Now, I mentioned it before the break, but I'm going to say it again now. We are going to be talking about the extended endings to Mass Effect 3. I will start by saying I'm going to try my hardest to not spoil anything. However, I am not going to promise that I won't spoil anything. Especially if you haven't already played Mass Effect 3 at all, or even seen the extended endings. Again, I'll try my hardest. With the extended endings, I was never super pissed at the original ones. I'll start by saying that. I was never so pissed and so angry that I demanded reform and change from everyone else. I didn't necessarily like the endings, but I wasn't super pissed at them. I mean, one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people said was that, my choices didn't matter at the end. Well, I disagree. I mean, if you look at the final 5-minute cutscene or whatever, well then, okay, yeah, maybe you didn't really get to see your decisions a whole lot. But the way I saw it was the Mass Effect trilogy is its own story, with each game itself being its own act. So I saw all of Mass Effect 3 as the ending. So I saw the effects of a lot of my decisions. By the time my game was done, I was best friends with Garrus. I had eradicated the Geth out of necessity. I had killed off the Arachni. Won't say anything else, because again, I don't want to spoil anything. However, I mean, the original endings were very stupid. They were stupid. We'll just call it that. There was a lot of loose ends. It lacked a lot of clarity. There's a lot of things that just didn't make sense when they happened. For example, how did your crew get back on the ship? Why aren't they there at the fights? Etc., etc. And the extended ending does help a lot of that. So let's talk about the good things that the extended endings actually did. Good things they did. They added a lot of clarity. They made it very clear about how your crew members get out of there. They were a lot clearer about making it to the Crucible. They were a lot more clear on what happens on that planet afterwards, and then what actually happens to your crew. They greatly expanded just the overall effects of what you did at the end and how the universe changes because of that. Now, granted, they did most of this through, still shots with slight animation to it. But to be fair, I kind of understand, because they didn't exactly have a whole lot of time to really make these new things, so they're not going to make all new CG cutscenes for this free download. So I can understand. One of the good things they did do was that each ending, depending on the decision you made, each one really was different. They all fundamentally had the same message at the end, but they were different. They all had different exposition and voiceover, all done by different people. I do like the fact that they added in a fourth decision. I'll get more on that later. I'm happy that they did add in a fourth decision, completely unrelated to the other ones. Things that were bad about the changes, though. The fourth decision, which is rejection, is awful. It's just stupid. It's super short, super disappointing. I mean, I understand why they put it there, because, people said, I didn't like any of the decisions. Why can't I just not do any of them? So BioWare said, okay, you cannot do any of them. And it sucks. Oh, it sucks. Again, I don't want to spoil anything for it, but it sucks. And again, just a little bit of exposition at the end. You don't get to go out, fighting or anything. It just kind of ends and stops. Other things I did not like. I'm sure a lot of people are very familiar with the indoctrination theory, which was this very big theory that made its rounds all over the internet, all over YouTube. And by God, that thing was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Like, it made a lot of things make a lot of sense, especially if you chose the destruction ending. You know, that could oh man, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Like, it builds up to that, and the possibilities afterwards was really, really smart. And the changed extended endings kind of ruins a lot of things from the indoctrination theory, which upsets me, because I always thought one of the things BioWare had said was that they wanted to make it seem like anyone can play the game and like be able to interpret the ending in their own way or whatever. And they kind of ruined the indoctrination theory, which is one of the most popular theories out there. So I'm a little upset about that. Other things I didn't like was that, like I said, the endings are different, but they all pretty much had the same message behind them. Which, again, don't want to spoil a whole lot, but basically says, hey, everything's alright. Not my favorite. I just saw Mothfox in the chat room saying the indoctrination theory was flawed to begin with, and I agree. I mean, there were things in the indoctrination theory that I could say that would help disprove it. But I still like it. I don't care. Honestly, I've thought about making a top 10 video. Top 5 things BioWare did right with the new endings, and the top 5 things they did wrong. That's me. Now, overall, am I happy with the new endings? I would say yes. They are much better than what they were before. They're a lot more clear. They give you a lot more closure. And just really a lot more sense of satisfaction. Depending on what you choose. Which, for the record, my favorite ending all the way through was always the destruction one. That was the first one. Excuse me. That was the first one that I chose, and the very first time I beat the game. You know, and I had zero knowledge of anything online or wherever, and I just chose destruction because that was, in my head, that was the right choice, and I'm happy with that. But that's me. What about you guys? I want to hear from you guys. I had a couple of people on my contact requests who want to talk about the Mass Effect 3 ending. I'll get them in here in a second. But again, if you want to talk about the Mass Effect 3 endings, whether you liked it, whether you didn't like it, if you've played it, or maybe you haven't played it and you're an outsider looking in, you can give your thoughts too. You can do that just by going to Skype and adding in the Skype name Proshow Live. One word, Proshow Live. Add that on there, and I will call you. If I call you in, we'll talk about the Mass Effect 3 ending. I had someone earlier who was asking about it. Ryan Underwood wanted to talk about the Mass Effect 3 endings, which we'll get him in here. Now, again, I can't promise anyone out there. I can't promise. You know, we'll avoid spoilers. We'll try our best, but I can't promise. Let's see if we can't get Ryan in here right now. He also wants to talk about the indoctrination theory. Hello, Ryan.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, man. Thanks for calling out to Pro Show Live. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Virginia, actually.
For Virginia, all right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, here's my thing. It's one of the things the biggest thing I ran into was like when all right, let me start again. I apologize.
No, go ahead, man.
All right, so I'm kind of in a unique. I was in a more unique situation where Mass Effect 3 came out while I was still deployed, so I had this huge amount of lead time.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. So I had a huge amount of lead time before I actually got back to the States. By the time I did, it was a month into them saying, "Hey, we need to do another ending." So my thing was, when I played original, I got the control ending just because
Okay.
Yeah, because
Now, did you have like any knowledge about the endings going into it at all?
I tried. Thankfully, no.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I lucked out with that one, where I stayed very much in the dark when it came to endings.
So nothing was spoiled for you. That's good.
That's correct. So
right.
One of the things that's what bothered me was once I finished it, it said, "Okay, cool, I can look at the spoilers." First thing came out was indoctrination theory, I can see why people like it, because there is some things that make sense, and especially with the destruction ending, which I'll try not to spoil anything as well, but I can see where people are going with that. But the problem is, you have to assume, in order to enjoy it there, you have to assume that BioWare is actually terrible storytellers. Because, and it's because of they add in additional scenes after, Shepard, does his or her thing, which doesn't make sense if that Shepard was just indoctrinated, or that, it just doesn't make any sense in that respect. So perhaps I was seeing it from, BioWare's not bad storytellers, so that's why Dark Nation there didn't make sense to me. And it looked like with these new endings, they kind of put a nail in the coffin with that.
They kind of did, yes.
Yes, which I enjoyed. And also, it one of the endings I vehemently avoided the first time through. Once they explained it, I actually said, "Oh, that's the ending I really want now." So it actually did a very good thing by expanding on what those choices mean, like absolutely, and it expanded on. Oh, I can't really spoil it, but it's like it expanded on the nature of the choices, why this whole thing happened, which is awesome. So I really enjoyed those endings.
Yeah, so you initially chose the Control ending.
That's correct.
And then when the extended endings came out, did you pick Control again, and you felt more justified in your choice that way?
Negative. I actually went with the synthesis ending.
Really? Okay.
The reason being is because my assumption was, from the first time through, was my choices were I can control, I can destroy all synthetics, or I do synthesis, but that sounded like, when first time through, it wasn't explained to me correctly. So I thought, does that mean it's going to destroy all life in the galaxy to rebuild it from the basic components of both synthetics and organics?
Okay.
So this time through, it said, "Oh no, we're just doing some changes on the galaxy.
We're doing a fusion dance. We'll come together."
Yes. So I said, "All right, that's the ending I want then."
Okay, so you do feel like it actually did add clarity to the endings and made the choice for you a little bit easier.
Absolutely.
Okay, well that's good. All right, I've got other people calling in, but hey man, Ryan, thanks for calling in. I'm glad to hear your thoughts on it, and
awesome.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much for
Yeah.
having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for listening.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, so Ryan there actually did like the newer endings. That's interesting. All right, let's get someone else in here though. Let's get let's see, G1 Flapperdoodle, who has not seen the extended cut yet, so that'll be interesting to see. See if we can't get Larry in here. Larry Flaps. Hey, Larry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you quite clear.
All right. Wait, where are you calling from?
I am currently in good old Jersey right now.
Jersey. All right.
Yes.
Now, in your message, you said you have played Mass Effect 3 and beat it.
Well, I do this common thing where, you see, I'm kind of broke. So
Okay.
I have to kind of mooch off my friends a little bit to play the newest games. So I did mooch off of a friend's copy for Mass Effect 3, and I did beat it.
Okay.
I personally thought the ending, it was disappointing. Like many people, I did think so. I didn't go into a rage, like an internet rage.
All right.
However, I did think it gave enough. It was enough for me to be okay with it. To put it in simplest sense.
Okay. Now, you also said that you have beaten the Mass Effect 3, but you have not gotten the extended endings at all.
No, I have not. I have not tried out any of the new
Okay.
endings.
Have you seen any of them?
Yes, a good friend of yours, Angry Joe, he posted a video pretty much explaining and analyzing all of the endings. So he explained them, and I have a good feeling about them. I think that they do offer a lot more closure, and I was very happy to see how they fixed a lot of the plot holes, because there were quite a few of them. And I think that I just kind of have this specific thing I want to say about the rejection ending.
The new fourth ending? Okay.
Yeah, the new fourth ending. I agree with you a lot. Like, but I just feel very strongly about how that ending was. I mean, I was more angry at that ending alone than every possible ending, every possible original ending.
It's because it felt half-assed, right?
Yeah, not only did it feel half-assed, it like the perfect way to describe it is if you're just like watching something, and then the tone shifts so rapidly it takes you out of the experience.
Yes.
That is what happened with me and the rejection theory. I was watching it. I mean, I tried to try out. I tried to not try out. I tried to like see every ending, look it up after I finished that video, and it's this watch the rejection ending to bring back the Mass Effect 3 memories, you know, to bring it all back, and then to imagine that afterwards killed me.
Yeah.
It would have made me, you know, I gave Mass Effect 3 a solid 8.5 or 9. If that ending had showed up, it would have gone down to a solid 7, maybe a 6.5, because that ending was so annoying to see how quickly it ended, and like nothing. It was just bam, done.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they had to put it in there because so many people were saying, you know, I didn't want any other choices. So like, okay, well, we better put something in there. And what they put in just did not stack up at all to the other ones. Especially since, you know, like you said, it just kind of craps all over like everything you did in Mass Effect 3, where you basically give up and close your eyes and then it's over.
Yeah, I mean, just like when I heard you say that, I was like, yes, somebody who understands.
Yes.
I was just so, it was, and I mean, just, there was like, either how the other endings kind of have closure, the rejection ending just kind of, bam, done, that's it, and then that's practically it. There's nothing more, which was really annoying to me, because the other endings gave closure, and they were satisfying. I mean, with the extended endings, they gave closure to the original. This one is just there. Nothing more. Yeah. There's no aftermath. There.
Yeah, I'm glad they put it in, but it just sucked. I'd rather prefer if they just take it out.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just hope that not many people. I mean, I didn't see a resounding need for that ending. I mean, I guess there was. I guess you are right. I guess there probably were a lot of people who were like, "Well, I didn't like any of them."
Yeah.
And that, I can understand that, but I just don't think that I just don't think it was necessary to put that in, especially of how it was made, especially its overall execution. But I think even if it was beautifully executed, I still don't think it should have been in there, because I just think I don't like that entire ending as a whole. I don't like the concept of it. Just overall rejection. You know, I feel it's kind of against what Mass Effect is. So I think it's fun they put it in there. More endings, the more the better, I guess. But it just didn't seem what Mass Effect needed to do.
Yep. All right. Absolutely agree. All right, Larry, I got to move on to other people. But hey, man, thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for calling in.
Hey, my pleasure.
All right, have a good one.
You too.
All right. Coming up next, we got Kevin, who is saying that, similar to me, he didn't hate the original ending, so the extended edition was actually pretty positive for him. So let's hear from him, someone who actually thought the extended endings were pretty positive. Hey, Kevin, are you there?
Yep.
Hey, Kevin, where are you calling from?
California.
California, all right. Now, you said you did not hate the original endings.
Well, okay, so I picked up the game after, like, a few weeks after it was out, so everyone was already complaining about the endings.
Oh, okay.
So I was expecting, like, a 0 out of 10 ending, and so I told all my friends, like, this better be a 0 out of 10. But then, like, to me, it wasn't that bad.
Yes.
Like, the actual content wasn't bad. I didn't mind it. It's just how unclear and it was. Like, the actual ending itself didn't make me mad.
Okay. Now, you have played through the extended endings as well?
Well, one of them, because only one. Be careful.
Have you seen all of them?
I haven't seen all of them, no, actually.
Okay. Well, which one did you take, then? Curious.
I chose Synthesis because over the course of the game that I played, I actually, like, fell in love with my character, and I actually started to feel like that's what my character would do, so I've never actually picked another ending for her.
All right. So, then as a whole, with the new extended ending, did that make you like the game a whole lot more? Did you like it more than the original ending? Did you feel more fulfilled? What did you think of the extended ending overall?
Pretty much exactly that, because my only problem with the ending was that it wasn't clear enough, because I actually enjoyed the ending, but the extended cut actually made it like clear, like filled the plot holes, I suppose.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Where, again, how your characters get out of there, or why they say no one makes it to the Crucible, etc., etc.
Yeah, things like that.
All right. So, do you actually plan playing through and seeing the other endings just to see what all the hoopla was about?
Like I tried to just go through like the whole game as like a renegade and everything, but like I lose interest because I don't really care for my character and things like that.
Okay.
I haven't
So-
been able.
Now, when you played through it originally, you said you were generally pretty happy with the ending. Like you said, there wasn't a whole lot of clarity. Do you feel like the extended ending was necessary at all to you?
Honestly, no, because I don't know. I just actually I didn't enjoy the ending, but it left a lot open for imagination, I suppose, and I liked that aspect of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, I got other people coming in. I'm running out of time. So, Kevin, I am going to move on. But, hey, thanks for listening and thanks for calling in. I'm glad you enjoyed the game.
Thanks for
All
having
right,
me on.
have a good one. All right, coming up next is, I don't know his real name because it's not on here. So, Swift Knight. I'll see if I can't get on there. He says he would love to share his thoughts about the endings, and I would love to hear them. So, let's see if we can't get him on here right now. Swift Knight. See if we can call him in. Hopefully he picks up. Hello. Hey, man, what's your name?
Kashane.
Hey, Kasheen, where are you calling from?
Canada, Toronto.
Toronto, Canada. All right. Now, you said you wanted to share your thoughts about the Mass Effect ending. Did you like them? Did you not like them? What do you got?
I actually like the synthesis ending. The Destroy ending, I was kind of awkward with because I was helping my brother throughout it. Because me and him just like both played it together. Because we were like played it through like 1 and 2 and 3. Like so, okay, we tried it out, and then afterwards, when we heard about the 4th ending, we kind of were shocked. So we tried it. We tried everything. Then afterwards, we just shot it because our game was kind of weirdy, and I don't know how it bugged us because he was playing PS3.
Okay.
But that's kind of sad. You just lose the game, really.
Yeah, so the 4th ending sucks, right?
Indeed.
It's
so
yeah.
sad.
You,
I was like,
you said
are
it
you
best.
kidding me?
It's the equivalent of you lose.
It just put the Ouija face right there. There you go. Game is over. You know that I hope like if they actually did like worked on it more, I would say like at least make it like an all-out scene like they're going guns blazing, gonna die like really like at least
Make you glow out in a blaze of glory.
At least. But we went with the synthesis ending. It made it was good. I was like this. Okay, this game is good. I just walked out.
Okay.
But
now, were you originally happy with? Were you happy with the original endings at all?
No, but I didn't. But as that first guy said before, though, he didn't went on a raging rant. But and you as well. But I was just really mad. I was like, "Are you kidding me? So this is all we got?" That's all he said. I was about to trade in his copy. I was like, just about to walk out that door and trade it in.
Yeah.
I was that mad.
So then, with this extended ending, did that did you make that make you feel a lot better? Did you?
Yes, it did. It made me feel a little bit more happier. It made me feel happy.
All right. So overall, you do think the extended ending does help the game a lot?
Yes, it does. But for certain people, you can't please everyone. But for certain people, it did help. Same thing goes for me. It helped.
All right. So it did help you, though. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good to know. All right, man. I got a couple other people who could go in. Like I said, I'm running out of time. But hey, thanks for calling in. Thank you for listening.
You too. Thanks.
All right. Have a good one. All right. See if we can't get at least one more person in here. Dylan Connolly says he wants to give his couple of cents on the endings and maybe a little bit about the indoctrination theory. Let's see if we can't hear about that. Hopefully you're ready, Dylan. Like I said, we only got a couple minutes left, so I'll try to get through as many people as I can before we wrap things up. Hello, Dylan.
Yes.
Hey, man, where are you calling from?
Ontario, Canada.
Ontario, Canada. Not a lot of Canadians tonight.
It's Canada Day.
Represent. All right. What would you like to say about the Mass Effect 3 endings?
Well, in general, if you really think about it, all the endings have their fair share of dumb connected to them.
Really? Why do you say that?
Well, Control, you're sure, you're saving everybody at the moment, but you just fuck them over later. You know, when the next cycle comes around and whatnot.
Okay. So what about
Synthesis, you know, like the Catalyst is all like, well, we tried it before, but it didn't really work because we just can't do that. And it's basically telling you, well, you have to do it.
And the destruction ending? Why is that one done?
Destroy is, well, you know, I worked out peace between the Quarians and the Geth.
Oh, okay.
And it's all like, there can never be peace between, you know, organics and synthetics. But I had just proven that can happen. And of course, with, you know, refusal, you just kind of, you know, give up. You just, like, well, that's it. I'm done. Now,
So, did you, now, overall, did you actually like the endings at all, or did you think all of them were just kind of stupid?
Like, it did offer a amount of, you know, like, closure. It gave, well, with the extended cut, gave, you know, a satisfying amount of closure. You kind of see where your decisions went. You know, like, if you help the Krogan, you know, cure the genophage and stuff, like, it shows them rebuilding and everything. You know, like, you get to see your choices actually in play now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, without the extended cut, it's just kind of like, well, I know I've done stuff, I know it's had an effect, but where does it go from there?
So you do think the extended endings were a good thing and did help the ending overall?
Yeah.
All right. That seems like a lot of people, I haven't really heard from anyone who has not liked the extended endings, aside from the terrible fourth option. So it seems like overall, it seems like a lot of people are happy with the extended endings.
And
do you agree?
I do agree. I also have a little bit to say about the indoctrination theory.
What's
I know BioWare is great at telling stories, but the way that they had ended it at the time, well, you would have to assume that they weren't, because, well, they had just kind of, because they had thrown out the effects of your choices into the future, and it felt like some things were off. Even I admit I believe in the indoctrination theory a bit. Characters just like Anderson, he just didn't really seem like Anderson at the time. And the Elusive Man conveniently showing up, that just kind of added to it, and also how the screen got all weird and stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean that. I mean that little black lines that come out. Like to me, that's just pure. That's like just a huge sign that, you know, some kind of indoctrination is happening.
And even the Destroy ending still, you know, offers that. You know, Shepard living, like, that doesn't look like, you know, wreckage that would be from, like, the Citadel. Citadel would primarily be, like, metals and stuff. The wreckage, you know, like, he was in, you know, stone, you know, rebarb, stuff like that. Which would, you know, insist that, you know, he's still in London.
Yes. Still a couple of weird things there. So still not sure why they have it that way. Alright, Dylan, thanks for calling in. I'm going to move on, though, but hey, really appreciate you listening.
No problem.
Alright, thanks for calling in. I got one last person I want to hear from. Ice Highboy, aka Nicholas, says he thinks the new endings are awesome, especially since they explain the more of the lore of the Godchild. But he also feels like it ruins the original ending. So I would like to hear about that from Nicholas. Let's see if I can't call him in right now. Hello.
Hello.
Oh, Nick. How you doing, man?
Doing awesome. You?
All right, doing good. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from outside of Copenhagen, Denmark.
Copenhagen, Denmark. Oh, wow. Thanks for
Pretty
listening,
far
man.
away. Yeah.
All right. So you feel like the extended endings ruins the original?
Well, in my opinion, there's both good sides and bad sides to new ending. I really like, as you said, the lore of the Godchild, because when I first played through Mass Effect 3, I was like head bumping myself for like half an hour because of that, because it ruined Mass Effect totally.
All right.
I just sat there like half an hour and said, "This cannot be true." So that's amazing, because it's people built this thing. It's not God. But the thing I hate is suddenly Shepard got amnesia on Earth, because in the original ending you hit the beam, and then he got up, went into the Citadel. Now you get hit by the beam, and shit happens for like 10 minutes. It's like, what happened to those 10 minutes in the original game? I don't know. So, yeah, just a lot of questions left unanswered. Of course, it's really awesome that they explained a lot of the things that I hated. For example, programs and stuff.
So you like, because there was an unknown amount of time lapse between on the ground to in the Citadel or whatever, and you feel like the extended ending ruins that?
Well, now Mass Effect 3 is not a standalone game anymore. You can't play Mass Effect 3 now, because if I told you what would happen and you haven't played the extended cut, then you would kind of need it. It's not a standalone anymore, if you get what I want to say. It's
Yeah, I think I get you. Like, basically, if you buy the game by itself, you're not getting the whole game. You pretty much need to have the extended ending to get the quote-unquote real game.
yeah, because it's important now.
It's really important.
It's really important because your crew members suddenly survive
Yeah.
out of nowhere. So, in my mind, they kind of ruined the standalone game in a way. But overall, it's good. I really love the extended cut.
All right,
But
I
more
like the
as-
extended.
It's more as a director's cut, more
Yes.
in my mind.
All right, you bring up a really good point. Without people who buy Mass Effect 3 who aren't going to be able to get that downloadable ending, they're not going to get the real ending, and it's just going to always suck to them. So that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Also, I wanted to point out that your Skype icon is Tally, which is awesome because Tally is the hottest person in that game.
She was my love interest, all 3 games.
Damn right, son. All right, Nicholas, thank you very much for calling in and staying up to whatever hour it is over in Denmark. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
All right. All right, thanks for talking to me, everyone. I'm going to wrap things up now from Proshow Live. But yeah, it seems like everyone overall is pretty happy with the extended cut and what they've done to the game to actually make things a lot better, whether it's through clarity or make it seem like that your choices actually do matter. Glad to hear it. I'm also really happy, and thanks to everyone who called in. Really appreciate that. Thanks to everyone who called in and wanted to talk about the 3DS XL as well. Appreciate that. So once again, I will try to do this every week. Every Sunday night at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, I will be trying to do this. If you like the show, come on boy, listen, tell your friends about it. If you want to help in a monetary sense, there is a donation button down below in the stream. Feel free to press that. Topics for next week, Domino 2897? I don't know. I'll figure it out shortly beforehand. If you ever want to know what the topics are about, pay attention to my Facebook feed or my Twitter feed. Because again, I probably won't really think of them until the day of doing that. So, once again, I want to thank Revulsive for providing the logo for the show. And I do want to thank every single person here who is listening, because again, this is my first time ever doing it. I had no idea what to expect, but I'm really happy so many people are here, and it turned out great. So, that being said, thanks to everyone for coming out to Proshow Live, and I'll see you next week.